Hey gang, welcome back. I have stuff to talk about, but first law requires I tell you the story of my birth, don't ask. So it all started in Make a Child and Sell It Tycoon, where I was on my way to wherever expensive babies go and I fell off the conveyor and crawled away into the outside world. I roamed the streets for a while until the age of 1, where I'd already developed quite a severe alcohol addiction, then eventually jaundice, which prompted me to quit for my own benefit. By the age of 2, I felt equal parts creative and snazzy, so I painted a suit on myself which I named Suit, White. When I was 3, I decided I didn't like myself bald anymore, so I fashioned this hat from some kid I was very good friends with's leftover entire birthday cake. By age 4, I moved into this place and started funneling my knowledge of redundant topics into, well, this whole thing. Don't drink, kids, it'll age you bad. Fast forward to today, and goddammit, I'm talking about tycoons. I guess that's ironic, after the whole thing with the Hunt Mega Edition, I've been down like $1 million. I mean, I even had to loan my bathroom. Oh, to be only nearly bankrupt again. Ooh, what's this? Click here for free Robux? Well, free's more than minus $1 million, and as we all know, nothing on the internet could ever be dangerous. Click. What could that be? What, hang on a minute. This isn't free Robux, this is... Oh. I don't know if I have the room for this, but money's money. Soon enough, my debt might not even be crippling. The first ever tycoon on Roblox was most likely Bread Factory Tycoon. Don't believe the evil lies of the Roblox wiki, it is called Bread Factory Tycoon, and was created in January of 2008 by UberUbert. Although before that he had made other games, such as his first game, King of the Hill, and Terrorist Simulator 2. I guess the first one was just so good that it needed a sequel. According to the Roblox wiki, Bread Factory Tycoon had amassed over 500,000 visits in the 4 months that it was around. That sounds fishy. I mean, Roblox only had a third as many users by the time that this game was released. It also doesn't source this at all. So I did some digging to try and find the game. First I checked the Roblox blog, well, the archive, because Roblox purged the original blog. Thanks guys, glad you value preserving your history. The game was mentioned in a blog post on February 1st, 2008, but the link in the blog post takes you to another game by Mr. Ubert, Uber Mini Golf, with nearly 65,000 visits. I put the link to that game into the Wayback Machine and found that the original Bread Factory Tycoon was replaced around the end of February 2008 by Uber Mini Golf. The Roblox website also says that the game linked was created on the 23rd of February, which is 22 days after the original blog post, so it's fair to assume that Bread Factory Tycoon was killed on that date. Comparing the last archive of Bread Factory Tycoon with the first archive of Uber Mini Golf, Bread Factory Tycoon was deleted with about 38,000 visits at maximum and barely even existed for 2 months, let alone 4, meaning the Roblox wiki was completely wrong. If that surprises anyone. Luckily, Ubert left most of his games on copylock, meaning Bread Factory Tycoon has been preserved through re-uploads as well as a couple of remakes. Here's a re-upload I found from May of 2008, which actually still works. There are 2 main remakes, one uploaded in 2009 and one in 2015, which was more of a complete overhaul compared to the older one. I think it's a really interesting piece of Roblox history. Some of the mechanics are genuinely better than most of the games that we'll be looking at later, although I will say it does feel a bit slow in terms of progress, although the fact that it still works even in 2025 is quite impressive. Like, this game's older than you, more functional than you, and better than you. There are 2 roles, factory owners and repairmen. Factory owners obviously did the tycoon part, while repairmen would go around the map fixing things that broke in other people's tycoons or removing blockages because you could buy sabotages in other people's factories. Repairmen were only added because Ubert couldn't figure out how to make a game have 4-player servers, but having 6 tycoons was too laggy and started crashing. He also made another tycoon game, Farm Tycoon, which I won't go as deep into, but there is a fixed version made by the same guy who did the Bread Factory Tycoon classic style remake. The original is also on copylock though if you'd like to poke around in it. The link to it and all the other games you see here is in the description along with the music and my socials. Hey, subscribe, join my group. Sorry. Another perk of it being uncopylocked is this. Check that out, I'm playing it in the 2008 client. It didn't really work, but whatever. Ubert's tycoons would have been revolutionary even if they weren't the first tycoons, because like many on the forums at the time said, they were more interesting and mechanically unique than their successors. Ubert quit sometime in the second half of 2009 based on his final post to his blog in June and his status being unchanged since sometime before August of that year. At some point in early 2011 he came back and edited his status and bio to announce that he quit and wasn't coming back. Then at the end of January leading into February in 2016 his account was hacked, had all the money on his account stolen for trading, and then was terminated. And that marks the end of the UberUbert saga. On that note, how's my bank doing? Well, I made a bit of money, but I want to make some more. Oh god, measles! Wait, never mind. Ooh, more money making opportunities, yes please. Let me just... Ah, crap. Oh, that was all my money. Really, brings the room together. I need some more money. Fast. I guess in the meantime. Around the time of Bread Factory and Farm Tycoon's success, a lot of people decided to cash in on a trend, some people creating rip-offs of the original Bread Factory, such as this one that claims that Uber ripped them off. And they're actually kind of technically right. You see, Bread Factory games were already a somewhat established genre on Roblox, but they weren't really tycoons. Ubert's games were still the first to have buttons to buy things, and Bread Factory games were more teamwork based, whereas Ubert's had each person running their own factory. Other noteworthy tycoons from around the time include Your Store Tycoon by none other than Dude One, you know, the guy that made Work at a Pizza Place. Lumber Tycoon by none other than the guy who made Lumber Tycoon 2. And of course, plenty of generic tycoons with barely any identity. And quite a lot of war tycoons. All of these are kind of important in their own way, because all of them stem into their own little subgenres. Alright, I'll admit from here it gets a little bit difficult to analyse each game individually, because there's thousands. Tycoons are a big genre, there's a lot of them. And none of them were really unique enough to stand out to a point of being documented apart from the few I mentioned already. I'm just going to showcase a few that I found. Factory Tycoon, made in February of 2009. This game has like 200 visits. It still works. Wow, I'd play it out, but there was nothing to buy apart from faster production, so it's kind of a pointless game. Oil Tycoon with helicopters and landing pads, made around December of 2008 with 18 players. This game looks like it'd be great. Too bad you don't spawn in. I've never seen a game do that before. The title wasn't lying though, you can't shame honesty. The game's description mentioned someone called WarGod99, so I checked their profile and they seem to have pioneered in the oil rig tycoon genre. Their first free model Oil Tycoon kit was published in July of 2008, and the game you're seeing footage from is on their profile. It's uncopylocked if you're interested. Life Tycoon by, okay, this game doesn't exist anymore, but it was made by Dennis VDZ, now Den_S, about 2 weeks after he joined Roblox, who you may know for making Theme Park Tycoon 2. This guy showed up, immediately started pumping out innovative tycoons, and still hasn't let up. More on that later. One more random tycoon from around the time, Gem Tycoon. This is another one that still works. Well, kinda anyway, the meshes for the gems are gone. But how do you know there were gem meshes? Here's how. How'd you like that? There were a couple of common tycoon kits at the time, obviously Uberts were still in circulation, but there were others such as War Gods, which I already mentioned, Ryuga, as well as some video tutorials. Back to dunking on the Roblox wiki, they have a line about a certain tycoon kit here, and while what they wrote is technically true on its own, the kit they're talking about would be more suited for reference in the modern section, as it was published around the end of 2014, not, as the wiki implies, before 2011. Seriously, this wiki page might be the most inaccurate and misleading thing I've ever read. Nearly every claim is disprovable. But whatever, moving on. These are a bit of a hassle to research. I searched the Roblox forum for War Tycoon and found plenty of people from around 2009 and onwards talking about making them, but every single one either didn't have the tycoon anymore or was banned, or just never made it. Well, except for this one. Okay, this wasn't a War Tycoon, but I found it on the account of someone advertising a War Tycoon, so it's close enough. I mean, there were a couple that I found, such as this one, Medieval War Tycoon, when you had to kill people to earn the money. Yeah, that's what distinguishes a tycoon from a war tycoon, by the way. They aren't just war-themed, you profit from the war itself. Here's another one that didn't work. Point is, these existed. People loved combat, people were fine with tycoons sometimes, so why not merge the two? The ones with weapons don't really work anymore, which, like, some of them are over 15 years old, so that does check out. There's also a lot of general combat games trying to deceive you into thinking that they're tycoons where money's awarded on kill, but they're separate because they don't focus on building up a base, they're just combat games. What do you mean Arsenal never claimed to be a tycoon? Oh. Some of them are also PvE oriented, for example Zombie Defense Tycoon, which you're looking at old footage of now. This tycoon gave money based on zombie kills as opposed to players, exciting stuff I know. Okay, it's fair to assume you all at least know of Lumber Tycoon. I mean, Lumber Tycoon 2 has over 1 billion visits, but I'll touch on that later. Lumber Tycoon 1 was created in October of 2008 and was very likely inspired by Ubert's Farm Tycoon, acting as a more refined version of that game's tree mechanic. The original game is still up, uncopylocked and available to play, although I don't think it works, so we'll switch to a fixed version. The gameplay is very simple. Cut trees, put them in a machine to turn them into planks, run all the way over here to sell them, rinse and repeat. This is what I'm going to refer to as a manual labour tycoon. You actually do the stuff yourself, there isn't too much autonomy. This definitely isn't as big a genre, but that doesn't mean that there aren't any still around, though Lumber Tycoon 2 definitely holds that monopoly. Like I said before, this game was created by Dude1, most famous for work at a pizza place. Despite what the Roblox wiki says, this was, I think, the first sandbox tycoon. You could place things in a tile system, choose what you place, stock shelves, decorate, sandbox tycoon stuff. The original game says it was made in March 2008, however the earliest I can prove it existed was in August of 2009, before that it was something else, and it had to have been made after June of that year, so sometime around then. I had to play a remake since the original is private, and the controls were janky to say the least, although for a sandbox tycoon with NPC AI made to not be laggy in 2009, the fact that it works at all is genuinely impressive. To me at least. Now, here's the most 2009 video you'll ever see showing some gameplay from when the game was relatively new. I can't play the audio because of copyright, but you can probably guess what's playing. The game had a fair amount of depth. I'd say it's genuinely still worth playing if it wasn't for the fact that it directly inspired the creation of Retail Tycoon, which is just kind of the exact same thing but significantly more polished. And even despite that, it's genuinely still worth checking out. Hell yeah, why not? So that's where Tycoons, came from. Oh, who the hell are you? Please put the sword up. Look, man, I've already been held hostage in here once this year. I'm not due for the second time until at least, October. Could you just... Thanks. God, the second I feel like I'm making progress after the whole table thing, you're really gonna make me buy home security? Fine. That's gonna do a number on my electricity bill. From 2010 until around 2015-ish, Tycoons were in a weird state. I wouldn't agree with the Roblox wiki claiming that they were on a 5-year decline. I mean, go to literally any archive of the games page from literally any point of time, there will always be at least one Tycoon in the first few pages, but I will say they definitely weren't evolving. Around this time, the typical stand around and wait Tycoons themed around whatever thing that the developer was into that day were pretty common, though there were still some creative ones. Tycoon kits were only really used for the script up to a certain point. Everything else was generally built by the creator instead of being handed to them by the kit, so they were always fresh to a degree. You've been seeing footage of random Tycoons I found in the background, but hey, you can have one from the top of the front page each year until 2015. Aren't I just the kindest? Village Tycoon. I found this one on the front page in 2010. Funnily enough, it was actually quite difficult to find a Tycoon from back then that wasn't updated within the past, 5 years. This one was last updated in 2015, could you tell? The first thing you'll notice about this game is that it definitely is Village Tycoon and is certainly the original. I don't know if a fifth of the screen needed to be a watermark, but thankfully you can get rid of it. The second thing you'll notice is that money comes in slow. So slow, in fact, that I gave up after a few minutes because I didn't feel like waiting. Little House 1. Two-player War Tycoon. Yeah, two-player Tycoons exist. To be honest, I don't think that they're all that worth mentioning. They're kind of just Tycoons, but you can't buy some of the buttons in your Tycoon. Someone else has to. My experience with this game was joining, then someone else immediately joined, then spent 10 minutes doing whatever this was. To which I joined in with the ritual until I somehow managed to kill them through all of these force fields and then they immediately left. I have no words. To make this even weirder, this person joined in 2009 and their description says that they love Tycoon, so it's entirely possible this person played this game back around 2011. I feel like I just encountered the ghost of a player that's been trapped in this game for over a decade. Enough existential dread for now though, here's Bank Tycoon. Let me tell you, this was a great time. At first it tricks you into thinking it's going to be boring with another one of these setups for money making, and well it kind of is, but you have other things to occupy yourself with in the meantime. First off, raiding is extremely overpowered, you fly across the map in seconds. There's this playground, which is lovely, and the racetrack. The racetrack is great, take it from me, but it didn't respond well to the paths I got from the playground. I also realised it's extremely easy to use said paths to steal a car. So I did that, bought some upgrades, bank goes, those definitely are girls at a bank, then my car got stuck in the entrance. I wanted to help it, but I did this instead. I also got this cool door, isn't it cool? The game also had a jump scare in the form of a genuinely interesting mechanic. You can invest money in this thing and claim the interest as extra income. With that, I finished the bank's building. You might think it looks ugly, but I think you should revel in the fact that I have a spinning Robux sign and you don't. This game highlights everything wrong with capitalism. 8 out of 10. Happy 2013 everyone, we're playing City Tycoon 2. Sure, I'll load my save for this game I've never played. It is very fast paced, I mean look how fast I make money. Look at the way stuff spawns in when you buy it. This is the most intense Tycoon experience I've ever had. After a few minutes I decided enough was enough and quit. It was starting to scare me. I should note this game was updated in 2017 and remained on the front page for most of that time. It was also made by the same guys to Broken Bones games, which... Oh, I just remembered, Broken Bones 2 has Tycoon elements in it. Kill yourself, Tycoon! For 2014, I chose two-player Gun Factory Tycoon. Remember earlier when I brought up that Tycoon kit that was made in 2014? Well, this was one of the first games to use it because it was made by the person that made it, Bereza. This game was featured in a blog post. It was the 11th most played game of 2014. It's also a two-player Tycoon. I'm only one player, and it progresses extremely slowly solo, so instead, let's talk about the kit itself. It's a very simple and intuitive kit. It comes with a little tutorial on how to create a new dropper to buy, which you can easily apply to creating literally anything. Duplicate the dropper, change a couple of values, duplicate a button, change a couple of values, and there you go. It's not the only Tycoon kit out there, and if that inspires you, then go and make your own Tycoon. Why the hell not? Generic Tycoons now are all the same and aren't rewarding. Given how easy it is to go ahead and make your own with a kit, why don't you, just for the fun of it? Or not, do whatever you want, man. Now we're on to 2015, it's summer and Lumber Tycoon 2 just released. Wow! Lumber Tycoon's instant success seemed to inspire other creators to make their own Tycoons, because this is the front page around Lumber Tycoon's release, and this is the front page at the start of 2016. That's a lot of Tycoons. Before that though, I want to do our final random game. Okay, this one's not as random, but it's Clone Tycoon. Everyone loves Clone Tycoon. There's just something so satisfying about watching your little guys take over the map. Sadly though, the original game has a fair amount of bugs. This gambling thing doesn't work good, the upgrades were displaying wrong, and the rocket clones were removed from the game like 9 years ago, and I couldn't find any evidence of their existence. Were they even real? I swear they existed. Does anyone else remember? It's still Clone Tycoon though, so it's worth checking out. Plus it has a sequel. Back on Lumber Tycoon 2, I could review it myself, or I could review Roblox's review of it, because Roblox used to have this guy review their games.
DeFalcio's ever so popular Lumber Tycoon from back in the day has finally made a comeback with an all-new version.
You said it, Max. I like this review. It's short, lists a few pros and cons, but I think it's genuinely enough to form an opinion on whether or not the game looks like something you'd enjoy, and the music is kick-ass. I don't know why Max's Lumber Tycoon 2 review needed to be presented in such a crazy way, but I love it. I wouldn't have it any other way.
If you're having a bad day, realize that our bad days make the good days that much better. Take care, friends.
That was beautiful. He praises the game for having a lot of detail in pretty much everything from the environment to the player customization, and the issues that he lists are the physics being janky, which he doesn't blame the game for so much as he generally blames Roblox. Bold move, Max. Maybe that's why you don't review Roblox games anymore. The other negative is that, well, I'll let him tell you.
If you've ever played Minecraft, you know that to chop down a tree, you just hold down the mouse button. Not the case here. You have to keep clicking.
There's gonna be some crazy rap battles about this line. He also did a review of the original Lumber Tycoon, and for some reason it's a horror movie trailer? I won't go into detail about this one, but it's in the description. I lied, I will give my opinion on the game though. I think he got it pretty much down. I mean, look at how long it took me to figure out how to buy an axe. Who's the game journalist now, Max? It also took me an embarrassingly long time to figure out where to take the wood, and I had no idea where my home base was. I think this proves that the game would probably benefit from a starter guide or a tutorial of some sort. Doesn't even have to be major, just arrows pointing at stuff. I did like the depositing thing though. You had to kind of break up the tree. It's not the peak of game design, I know, but it felt better than it just unnaturally sliding in. You can also do this, so the game's great, and to Max's credit, you can actually hold click to chop the trees now, just like Minecraft. I spent my entire time chopping trees trying to figure out if spam clicking was faster or not. I still don't have an answer for you. Jokes aside, I think I'd probably enjoy the game if I put a bit more time into it. It seems like a game that would get really addicting really fast when you start making progress, and from what I've seen, the base building mechanics look pretty good. If you are partial to simulation games, and you're patient, you will absolutely adore this game. If you're looking for something more fast-paced, this game isn't for you. I don't know why, but for the first, half of 2016, all of the archives from the games page are the exact same. Look at this, every picture here is from a different month. Why are all the numbers exactly the same? Is this a universal thing, or is it just me? And then this archive from 2016 is from around 2021. Piggy? Tower Defense Simulator? Either way, it certainly made research a bit harder. However, 2016 absolutely saw a resurgence in Tycoons. Such a resurgence that I'm gonna arbitrarily call it the Golden Age of Tycoons. And to celebrate this momentous occasion, I'm gonna buy some more, damn it. Oh no. Oh, no. Yeah. So, before we talk about the good, we need to talk about this. Also in 2016 began the craze of boring tycoons being played by YouTubers. Listen, I love Dan Dr. Treblock's TDM as much as the next guy back then, but looking back on these videos...
Nice outfit, bruh.
These really aren't that interesting. All of them are the same because, well, all generic tycoons are kind of the same. Sometimes there's unique mechanics, there's fighting, I guess, but that's optional considering the owner-only door. And, you know, it's not like there's consequences to dying. Not to say that these games are bad and that liking them is wrong, I mean, it's a guilty pleasure, nobody really hates them, but they were definitely a huge epidemic. They also featured this sound effect that played whenever anyone couldn't afford something. You hear it constantly in the background throughout any video on a tycoon made with this kit. I couldn't pay my rent this month and the landlord just stared into my eyes and went... These tycoons also didn't save, so if you left or lagged out or anything, then your progress was gone. Boo-hoo, loser. Should have had better connection, but then what do you even do when you've finished? Sit around, make more money? To spend on what? What's the point in getting there anyway? Max out production so that you can buy pointless models to just look at? The most prominent of these was absolutely McDonald's Tycoon. Everyone played McDonald's Tycoon, or at least watched someone play it. This game got deleted a few years ago for copyright infringement. Don't know what McDonald's had against specifically this game, but it eventually got reborn as McRonald's Tycoon. Subtle, I know, which is more or less the exact same, just less Donald, more Ronald. All of these games use the same kit, which I've identified as Zednov's Tycoon kit. Zednov was a very prolific tycoon creator for a while, but was eventually terminated for making a game called Roblox Tycoon, which wasn't a scam, but, I mean, come on, it sounds like one. Also, if I was a stupid kid and I saw a game called Roblox Tycoon, I'd play it for hours thinking I was making Robux. I know I'd do that, because when I said if I was a stupid kid, I meant when I was a stupid kid, because I did that! At least 3 times! I was not very scam-aware back then. Either way, there's not much to say about the kit. It's easy to use, there's plenty of modified versions available as free models. If you wanted to make a tycoon, like I said earlier, this is definitely a fine option too. You can somewhat tell if a game is using it because of the spawn texture that it comes with. Is that it? Can we finally talk about the good stuff? Retail Tycoon, heavily inspired by Your Store Tycoon, which really shows. I mean, you start in a 3x3 space and NPCs walk in and look around the store. Sound familiar? Here's my old save from when I first played. This predates Retail Tycoon 2, spoilers, that exists, and, well, interior design clearly wasn't my strong point. I'm not going to go into too much detail about games from this point unless I feel like I should, because there's a lot to talk about, but as far as for this game holding up, sure. I mean, there's a few things like this guy's lack of a face and the weird off-road proportions forced upon you to make you tower over all of the NPCs, but other than that, I'd say it's still worth playing. Better than the sequel? Well, I don't know, how about you have some goddamn patience? Sorry. I talk about Treehouse Tycoon, which later rebranded to Treelands, but I don't really understand it, like, at all. I might be stupid. Max?
If you notice, there's an awful lot of wood grain here.
Wood grain?
We recently partnered with Wood Reviewer to give you the lowdown.
Wood Reviewer?
It is so bad that if you knew nothing about wood grain, you would guess the bad wood grain is correct, because it actually outnumbers the examples of good wood grain. Even Osimo 3089 agrees it is bad.
He's so right. Now on to Restaurant Tycoon. This game was created by Ultra, who also created like every other tycoon ever in multiple genres. He made both the Clone Tycoon games, which were generic tycoons with a unique method of making money, Pizza Factory Tycoon, which was another generic tycoon with strong emphasis on customization, this game, which is an entire fully functional tycoon scripted in only 50 lines of code, which is uncopylocked, as well as all of these other tycoons. The man likes tycoons. Anyway, Restaurant Tycoon. This is another one that everyone knows and loves, hence why there's 3 of them. There's a lot of content in this game. Here's my dystopian hellscape of a restaurant. I think there's something wrong with this sign. I also went a bit crazy on the TVs. It's another simple yet in-depth game. Pick your starter restaurant and food, do the tutorial, which I think does a really good job of concisely telling you what to do, and then start working. You've got to do everything yourself at first, but once you made a bit of money, you too can start automating your own exploitative business. I think it's smart that you have to be active to get the money from the table, so even when the game is fully playing itself, you are still encouraged to take part, and it doesn't really get stale because you're constantly working towards upgrades and increasing the size and scale of your restaurant. The only problem I'd say is the fact that you're kind of punished for doing that. You can only have 6 servers maximum, so even in my optimized hellscape of a restaurant, the routing is still being tanked by the slow service, so I kinda have to do it all myself. Which is something I just praised, but still, I pay for these workers, and what do? Nothing! Theme Park Tycoon 2. Now I'm sure all of you are wondering, where the hell is Theme Park Tycoon 1? Here. It was made in very early 2012, like 2nd of January, very early 2012, and you're watching gameplay of it from January 29th of the same year. It's private, and it would probably be completely broken anyway even if it wasn't, but all of Dennis's games are numbered without any clear previous games, so it's interesting to actually see the previous versions, you know? But as for Theme Park Tycoon 2 itself, you and I both know it's basically perfect. Plenty of customization, upgrades, building and riding your own roller coasters or other people's. You can decorate your park to a quite frankly absurd degree. I mean, look at these. There isn't really anything I can fault the game on. Like, it's just fun. It also has 2 other public games, Water Park World and Pool Tycoon 4, but these aren't nearly as popular. I'm pretty sure Water Park World is the successor to the Pool Tycoon series, as it still receives updates while Pool Tycoon hasn't been touched since 2023. Water Park World is kinda just Theme Park Tycoon but with a different context, and for some reason Retail Tycoon elements. You have to stock the food and drink stores or hire someone to, or else they can't be used. You can also make crazy slides that send people flying. With that said, it definitely has less content because it's just a water park, not a theme park. It also has a skill tree as well as this cleaning animation. It's far from a bad game, but it's nowhere near the level of content that Theme Park Tycoon 2 is on. A lot of the games that I mentioned previously have gotten sequels, like Retail Tycoon 2. It's good, albeit a little too slow from what I've played. I like that you can choose between spending more to have the stuff delivered to you, or pay less but have to drive to pick it up. The badge icons are cute, they look like actual real-life badges. Restaurant Tycoon 2 and 3, they're good. Restaurant Tycoon 3 is brand new and constantly being updated, I recommend it, though it is paid access for the minute. I beat it. Golden Tycoon 2 came out in 2016 and heavily expands on the original with bosses, side quests, vehicles. It's also worth looking at if you're interested. Finally, I can afford to actually buy some upgrades this time. Oh my god. Hello?
Why are you so poor? It's making me look bad.
Who's the PR guy here, me or you?
Look, at this rate, you're going to be getting evicted. What happened to all of your money?
It's a long story.
Whatever. Just, the finance guy's going to be coming to yours later. I'll sort out getting you back your money. Just make sure you're not doing anything stupid to try and make it all back yourself. Like, for example, ordering an illegal tycoon kit to your house like so many of my other clients have done. Why do they all do that? Why do they do...
Maybe I shouldn't. Oh, what am I gonna do? From this point, there isn't really much to comment on in terms of big releases. Well, good ones anyway. Moving into 2018, simulators were kind of taking over the role of tycoons. In my opinion, they're much, much worse, but whatever. They kind of serve the same purpose, wait for stats to go up, the difference being that simulators don't have anything to actually work towards. You aren't buying a base or anything, you're just raising numbers to raise numbers more. There's no point to them, there's no end goal, just numbers upon numbers. And I'm sure I'll talk about them at some point. If it's a court order, I'm not doing that willingly. I shouldn't be making those jokes right now. The games I consistently see on the front page during this time were Theme Park Tycoon, Pizza Factory Tycoon, Restaurant Tycoon, and McDonald's Tycoon. Granted, the same games page bug that I noticed earlier was happening again, so about half of 2018 is the exact same for me. Speaking of the exact same, something strange started to happen during 2019. Look at these games. Notice anything odd? There are 6 tycoons with near identical thumbnails. This is the start of another plague, one that's still ongoing to this day. These weird tycoons started showing up with their ex-property characters as morphs thumbnails, gaining thousands of players each, despite just being practically unedited kits with tons of microtransactions. One of the most prominent is Superhero Tycoon, seen from the 2019 screenshot. Take a guess as to how many visits this game has. That's right, all of the above. This game has 2.4 billion visits. All of the games with this type of thumbnail put you in the center of the map surrounded by tycoons without fail. It's been happening like this for nearly 7 years. These games suck! And more recently, Tycoons adopted a more simulator-like progression system. I can't really remember any front page examples, but this is an example of what I mean. I call them merge Tycoons. These games are boring, there's, again, nothing to work towards, there's nothing to build, you just buy X object which spawns Y collectible and you pick them up, deposit them and repeat. They're like manual labor tycoons except not rewarding at all because you haven't really done anything, you've just walked from point A to point B and maybe pressed a button. These weren't the biggest things admittedly, but I wanted to bring them up because they were a disappointment and I'm upset about them. Another more recent genre of tycoon are these ones, do X to Y Z. For some reason, literally all of them have the big head in the thumbnail. It's weird. They're meant to be funny, I think. It's kind of hard to tell if they're ironic or not. The one I played was absolutely littered with Robux items, though. All of the yellow tiles were Robux purchases. Pressing Shift prompted a Robux purchase. War Tycoons also have a modern variant now. They kind of function more like Clone Tycoon though, having you send troops in instead of fighting yourself. They're alright. There's one that I remember playing a few years ago, which was Noob Army Tycoon, which I think I completed back in the day. If I did finish it, then they must have tripled the amount of content in the game since I last played, because I only had 30% completed. The combat system was also completely reworked. There were game modes and custom battle loadouts rather than just sending everything you had in. If I hadn't previously played, I'm sure the tutorial would be good enough to properly learn the game, but as it was not easy to return to. Looks like that turns out a new genre of Tycoon just came out right now! You might know this game due to it being the most concurrently played game ever by a horrifically large amount. This is terrifying. It's also the fastest game to ever reach this many players. It has the absolute worst use of studs I've ever seen in a Roblox game. Give it up for Grow a Garden. This is in every sense of the term an idle game, like Cookie Clicker, or any phone game ever. You plant crops, you wait for them to grow, you sell them, buy more, repeat. The game will have you know that it grows offline. It's in every thumbnail, on every game ever. Everything about this game is engineered to keep you coming back, and clearly it works. The offline aspect never truly letting you finish, the pets, cosmetics, as well as a plethora of opportunities to work for things in-game. Given all of this, I fully expected to go into the game and find it repulsive, littered with monetization, mind-numbingly simple gameplay. Owned by Jandal, and lo and behold, yeah, I was right. And yet somehow it's genuinely not bad. I actually don't hate this. The monetization, while definitely present, doesn't actually feel necessary to make progress. From the footage, you might think I've been playing this game non-stop for weeks, but I actually got a head start. Within 5 minutes of joining, 2 people had already given me endgame stuff to sell, so money was never a problem for me. They also gave me their dog. This might be unethical. So maybe the monetization is bad and I just skipped it. I got really bored within an hour and I haven't come back since, but to anyone that I said Grow a Garden probably sucks to, I somewhat retract that statement. The community seems nice, granted you gain benefits for being friends with the people in the server, there's constantly events to keep you engaged, there's these admin abuse events every time there's an update which are quite cool, and it's the start of a new wave of repetitive garbage on the platform. Slop, if you will. But compared to actual Tycoons, this ain't nothing. And that's kind of it. A genre almost as old as Roblox itself, and one that for the most part has stayed true to its roots. What's in store for the future of Tycoons? I don't know, I'm not a time traveler, you know. Oh, and as for the Tycoon stuff, I got rid of that by giving it to some guy up front. He charged me $200 and said it was fine or something, which was kind of creepy, and the 200 was all I actually managed to make from the Tycoons anyway, because, you know, all of this that I accidentally bought. I'm just destroying the rest of the evidence. Turns out running an illegal empire in your bedroom's kind of hard. But I did manage to make enough from selling one of the Dan TDM purses to some schmuck that I can finally get my bathroom back. And with my PR guy sorting out my money by whatever means are deemed necessary, I'll finally be just poor again.